Yo, what's going on? It's your boy Kenny T. And now this is the next chapter in understanding the ACS, the Airmen Certification Standards. And we are going over the operations of systems. So in this section, we're going to cover Task G. Task G covers all the systems that you're going to have to know about when you're doing your check ride. When your evaluator is asking about them, he's not just going to ask you, tell me about all the different items in the checklist or in the ACS. He or she is going to go through and in the process of maybe questioning, or when you're in an airplane, ask you some questions about it until you operate them. So this time we're not just going to first go through the knowledge, because we're going to look backwards this time. We're going to look skills, risk management, then go back. Here's a note though. They're not going to ask you every single one of these systems. They're going to ask you a few of them. So if K1 is selected, the evaluator must evaluate and assess the application's knowledge to at least 3 sub-elements. So that's why I put the 3 here, so you know that it's 3, right? And in this 3, man, who knows what they're going to ask you, right? But you got to know all the different sections. So by you knowing all of them, you'll be ready to go. And the skill that they're looking for is you can at least operate them. So what does it mean to operate them? When your normal operation of flying the airplane, getting everything ready, that you're following the proper checklist, that you understand how to use the systems. And then you're also going to have to know how to deal with abnormalities, failures, in the risk management. It talks about managing the risk and malfunctions or failures, and what you got to do when you manage a system failure. So that's the whole big picture of what you're actually going to need to know. So this is what you're going to need to know, big picture for this section about the systems, right? But now let's kind of talk what you actually know in the subset. We call it the subset, the lower level of it, right? So we got flight controls, secondary flight controls, power plant, landing gear, fuel, electrical, avionics, pedostatic, vacuum pressure, associated flight instruments, environmental de-ice, anti-ice, water, rudders, and oxygen. Don't need to worry about water stuff if you're not flying a water craft, and an oxygen system. And the foundation of each of these systems is going to be 2 places. I'll give you 2 places. More than that, but at least these 2, right? You got your POH. When you go to your POH, whatever aircraft you're flying, there's going to be a section. It's a section with this chapter 7 in the 172. So in chapter 7, it goes step by step about each of the systems. It tells you the aileron control system, how that works, elevator control system, rudder and rudder trim control system. It shows you where all of the instruments are. And what I would do is I'd go each individual system at a time to make sure you know it. If you bounce around too much, it's not really a good way to actually understand each thing. So one piece at a time, especially when you're getting ready for your check ride. Can you talk about each of the individual systems by itself? So primary flight controls first. Can I look at that? Well, it tells you. Talk about the flight controls here. It tells you the airplane flight control systems, see figure 7 Westway. I'm not going through all of it, but I'm showing you where to find it so you can be able to have the pieces you need to talk about it. So flight controls trim system in the POH. If you're talking about flap system, it has that in the POH. It has everything about the seats. Engine. This airplane is powered by a horizontally opposed 4-cylinder overhead valve air-cooled carbureted engine with a wet sump oil system. What does that mean? It tells you that, but then you also got to know what it means. That's where going to your PHAC, your pilot handbook and aeronautical knowledge. That's the next level, where this is more generic and not necessarily specific about your aircraft, but it talks about the theory of each of these different systems, from your engines to how they work, to what magnetos are, to the propeller, how airplanes are cooled, the oil systems, etc. When you go back to your POH, it tells you about the oil system in your airplane specifically. You need to know How many quarts of oil does your airplane require? And when it comes to your fuel system, how big are the fuel tanks? How does the fuel get from the wings to the engine? Is it gravity fed? Is it a fuel pump? These are things you want to be able to talk about. So if you can talk about each of these systems, like I said, PHAC, flight, same thing with the flight instruments. So understand the vacuum system, the pedostatic system. Understand that. So between the POH and the PHAC, it's going to give you a really good understanding of what the systems are. And if you're confused about what systems you need to know, start with one. What's this one right here? So start with the first one. Primary flight controls. Go through and look up that in your POH. Look up that in the PHAC. Understand that. Then go, boom. Secondary flight controls. What are those? All the way down to power plant, landing gear, fuel, and hydraulic. Understand each aspect of that in your aircraft. But they're going to choose 3, like I said. So go through one by one and understand it. Then understand what to do in a failure. And like I said, in that, you're going to actually you're going to demonstrate it when you actually go fly the plane. So that's that section there. And I'd say that this is the section where most people have the most trouble because they can't necessarily talk about each of the systems. So you do want to spend some time really just sitting down and going over every specific system. We sit down with the instructor, watch some videos about it, be able to explain each of those systems to a certain level where you feel comfortable talking about. You don't got to be a mechanic, but talking to a mechanic can help you because they can tell you to the nth degree. So, but they're looking for a basic understanding and basic ability to operate the system. Okay, cool. So that system's there. Like I said, no, all of them, but you're only going to get asked 3, and you might not even get asked directly. It'll kind of go with the flow of your check ride. So that's systems. Check it out. We'll go more in detail in another video, but just want to give you the overview of what it's going to be for systems in the ACS. Boom.